All right. So, hello, welcome back. Today we're going to talk about a blue collar motivational moment. You guys, I know that throughout my path as a technician, there were some weeks, some days that were more difficult than others. Sometimes life can get pretty tough as a blue collar guy, and I just thought, hey, it might be nice to say something that's uplifting, that kind of encourages you to know that you're doing the right thing, I guess. Um, the right thing's not always popular though, right? Okay. So your cause is noble to provide and earn. I know a lot of men out there who they question whether or not they're a fool for going to work every day with all the other options available, and sometimes they get really down on themselves because they don't see the merit, and nobody's sitting there telling them, hey, you're doing something respectable and something noble. When I say noble, I mean things that can't be taken from you. Your dignity, your self-respect, the ability to provide for yourself and your family. In the end, these hard skills might be the thing that decides whether or not your family is going to be downtrodden, or making ends meet, or doing really well based on what it is that you did for them. I'm going to continue down the list. So it will never register to others your toil you endure to no end. It doesn't register to them because they're not you. And to try to have them understand a life that's not one that they're going to even have to live is, what's the point, right? So we go in and we do our toil, and we don't even have a lot of people who can relate to the things that we have to do every day. So just know that that's never going to happen, that people are going to really grasp that or respect it. And that it kind of has to be one of those things that you value about yourself more than what you look to the world to value you for. So never feel alone. Of course, there's nothing new under the sun, guys. Nothing new under the sun. We've all had tragedy. We've all seen horrible things happen. We've all been, subject to inadequate workspaces or tooling, or, even just appreciation for the average working guy. But you're recognized by the rest of us, because when we see who's putting up that wall, that there are good men out there willing to go and do their work every day, and we recognize you. We recognize each other. We ought to recognize each other more. So we have here, we all endure alone. But that wormhole is collapsing, I wrote. And when I say that we all endure alone, everybody thinks they're so alone during the circumstances here on Earth, as we're going through this existence. And I would venture to say that the more people are feeling alone now than ever before. And I think that a lot of people make you believe, by media and us as a total, that we believe things that may not be accurate to our life, or may not be accurate at all, really. But in particular, the fact that the wormhole is collapsing, and when I say that, I mean that the information, the globalization of information. So now we live in a global arena where we have the ability to exchange information all across the earth, and especially within the United States and Canada and all the countries that even share our same languages. I'm able to reach people in Jamaica, Cambodia, and the UK and Canada with this channel. And I really appreciate all the other countries being involved. But that's a very good example of the globalization of information. So if we think about that, we think about, well, there was a time, I'll give you an example, story time. So I had worked at a first student school bus company when I left the military. Actually, it was right after Prevost Motorhomes. And when I went to work there, we were just doing basic maintenance, oil changes, that kind of stuff. And I got to finding out really quickly that we had a lot of buses with C7s, 3126s, that had HUE problems, high pressure electronic unit injector issues. And some of you may know this, but 16411, 16415 codes were popping up all over the data stream because there was injection actuation system pressure faults, with ICP faults. So I control the injectors with high pressure oil, and it was noticing that the demand was not meeting the requested, or it was more than it should be. Anyway, faults relative to this that we just didn't do anything about. We just kept running these buses. I found out later on that they knew this, and CAT had a recall where they would allow you, I think 16 hours, maybe it was probably more than that, but you had to pull all the injectors, pull the pump. You had to take the head off the pump, take a photo of it, make sure that you did have metal filings collected on that little magnet there. And if you did, they gave you a cleaning procedure to make sure you removed, I mean, spaghetti lines of brake clean throughout every oil galley inside of the head. And these things had to be done or they would not warranty the claim, but they gave you a pretty good time to do it. Well, what was happening is these Huey pumps were coming apart, and they knew it, and they were going through and they were sending metal shards into these high pressure injectors. And with anything that's very high pressure, you have very tight clearance. So remember that. So that means any kind of debris. That's why these things are down to 2 micron now, because any kind of debris on that 30,000 pounds of pressure, the only reason it's able to not just bleed out of the injector, right, is because of clearances being so tight. And remember, oil does account for about 2 to 3 thousandths. So that's what works on a turbo, right? That's the cushion on the bearing. It's the same thing when you think about main bearings. That's the cushion of oil that it's riding on. It's non-compressible. It's a fluid. It takes about 2 to 3 thousandths of an inch when it's inside of whatever galley or place it's supposed to be. I know that's a ramble. It doesn't have to do with blue collar motivation moments. So we're the most informed and sometimes the least educated. We have a ton of skills or information that we've been able to glean from the internet that was not available before. And I think that will aid us in trying to look for the resources that we need in the future. That's why I'm saying about information being so widely available. What I would like to say to you guys is this: don't paint yourself don't put yourself into a spot where you're starting to look at the future and grow hopeless of your skill or your trade or making money. I think the equilibrium will come eventually where AI is going to just eat everybody's lunch who used to think that they were smarter than most people. And maybe they were, but now that's interesting to me because in the absence of skills, there's scarcity. So as I said, in 2008, there's a lot of people forecasting things that are coming pretty soon. They have been though. But I will say that in 2008, there were all kinds of people with very, very good PhDs that were just homeless, selling their houses and homeless. And the reason why is because they possessed no hard skills that people were willing to, that needed constantly, that could not go without. Like I said, they were supporting industrial work or automotive. Automotive is going to take a huge crash, guaranteed going to take a huge crash. They can do it with parts. They can do it with all aspects of that thing are so vulnerable. And then all they have to do is change the tech. And then how long does it take to get rid of all those older technicians? You see what I mean? And there's advances that are happening right now. And I'm reading about it every day. I'm trying to keep you guys abreast of what's going on so that you're not like, man, see, I would be pissed if I just spent 5 years as an automotive tech and then within the next 5 to 6 years, they plan on getting rid of most cars. So what does that mean? It means they're not going to let them on the road. I mean, I'm not arguing whether or not this is going to happen or not. I don't know, right? But if I was a forward-looking person and I had, goals of getting to a certain height, I wouldn't waste time on something that wasn't going to bring this thing into fruition. So if you guys go to work every day and you feel like, oh, I hate this job, I just waste my time. Maybe it is. And maybe it's time to, evaluate whether or not this is the job that's going to be able to move you into that next rung. Some people on here say that they are doing some jobs that they may not really like, but they're kind of just, waiting their time. I mean, I totally understand that. I did the same thing. But just make sure, like, the one guy was commenting that he goes to every day to work and tries to learn more. That's all you can be doing. Now, those 164.11 faults on those Cat C7s, it was 10 years before I understood anything about that. So there are so many people who are down, like no information. But now it's an open age. So if you need help finding resources, call me. Some guy asked me about schematics. I'm waiting for an email. If you guys need specific things, I will try to help you. I'm not going to charge you. And I've also got something where I'm trying to come up with a training module or nothing that I'm going to necessarily charge for. But pretty soon on YouTube, I'll be able to have a button to where you'll have a membership. So it might cost, $2, and I do see a little bit of that profit. But what I want it to do is be something that's dedicated towards a higher level of personal instruction than just me giving away how I do things. So if you're interested in that, man, look for that. That's going to be coming, like I said, right after we get the viewership. We're pretty close as far as the subscriptions go. As far as like viewed time, we're not. I'm going to start producing some of this longer form stuff that's going to go over answering questions about how do you get started, volts, ohms, amps, simple things, how does solenoids work, starters work. And if you don't start there, and even before that, semiconductors, insulators, right, conductors, the difference in them, how electricity flows, why one atom wants to complete the next atom atomic structure next to it because of the amount of valence electrons. These things are important, but what's more important is, first off, we learn how to use a multimeter. We learn how to what the fundamentals of electrical are. And for you guys out there who want that, it's going to be available long form, but it's not going to be a fast video. So it's going to be like 30 minutes, which takes me a lot of time. So if you could at least just watch it, I would really appreciate it, and give me feedback and tell me, hey, Joseph, that doesn't make any damn sense. And I'll redo it. You know, I want it to make sense. But I have to have you guys watch it. Right now, we're about 5 minutes on average per video, which is great. But I would like to see these longer videos get a little bit more time so that I have some gauge of whether or not they're helpful. Okay, guys. Thank you for your time, and stay motivated out there. People are counting on you, and it's a noble cause. All right.